Remember, it's consistent and fair. Billy's a great guy, but if Billy earned a B, it's a B. And Sue may be the worst person you've ever met in your life, but if she makes an A, it's an A, right? I mean, be fair and consistent. Which brings us into the Code of Student Conduct. As of January 1st, KCTCS has a change in the Code of Student Conduct. So we wanted to bring that forward today and talk to you just a little bit about it. A Code of Student Conduct is quite literally what it says. It's a code defining what the student's rights are, expectations, things that you would expect, things that would happen, and a process that we would follow so that the students clearly understand not only expectations, but what their options are. It's wonderful. There's a Bill of Rights, and it's common sense, at least I think it is. Learn without discrimination and harassment, and these are very much, concise and shortened and things like that. Expression of a divergent opinion. This is higher education, people. There's supposed to be some collegial discussion that occurs in a classroom, correct? So, that it's okay, but within parameters and rules. FERPA, which I'm sure we're all very familiar with. Clear course objective, grading policy, clarity regarding the course. That's in the Bill of Student Rights. They have the right to that, which is, again, tying back to that syllabus again, right? That should be clearly defined on there. Fair evaluation of performance standards given by the second class meeting. Again, that's your making sure the student got the syllabus and that they signed the acknowledgement that they received it and had gone over it. That's what that means. Accessibility services, again, if they need extended time, sometimes they need note-taking, things like that, and then a right to due process. In other words, I disagree with the grade that you gave me, or I disagree with something. What is the process as a student that I can follow? Okay? Then the students are held to standards of conduct. There are 4. And again, these are very clear as far as just what they mean. They're spelled out in more detail in the Code of Conduct, but we've kind of summarized them here for you. The first one is the highest standard of academic honesty and integrity. No cheating. No plagiarism, right? This is college. Don't do that. You shouldn't do it anyway, but don't do that. Respect for health, safety, and rights of others. Common sense, but we have to clearly define that. Respect property of others. And some of these are getting into these no guns on campus, no smoking on campus. So understand that, that doesn't go into these terrible, detail. It kind of covers these broad policies to say that this is what this covers. And then observing the college rules and policies, and that's where that Code of Conduct exists. In other words, if I sign up for the class, I should be aware of the Code of Conduct as a student. And in your syllabus, there should be a link to the Code of Conduct. It's part of that syllabus checklist, both on campus and online, that there's a link for the student or some way for the student to access this Code of Conduct. So in other words, there's no excuse. It's like, well, I was born, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Well, sorry, you were born in this state, you have to follow the state, that's how we're covering our base to make sure the student understands, here's the rules, here's the processes, and here's the expectations. Did you have a question? No, you just saw this hand maybe moving, I'm sorry. That's okay, that's all right. Helpful hints relating to the Code of Conduct. I'm sorry, Connie.
I just wanted to say where you find the full Code of Student Conduct is if you go to the homepage of the college and click on Academic Policies on the left-hand side, you will see, hello, and thank you all for being here. If you go to the home page of the college and click on Academic Policies, which would be on the left-hand side, then you will see a listing of policies. One of them will be the Code of Student Conduct. And right now it shows as David mentioned, the older Code of Student Conduct and the one that is effective now this month, January is 17. So if you wanted to read the full code or be aware of the Students' Bill of Rights and then what the academic process is for an appeal, which he's going to probably get into, that's where you would look for the full document.
Thank you, Cousin Connie. Yeah. And the link, you just go out there and it wouldn't hurt to look at it. Anyway. Oh, I knew it was coming. I could sense it. I could sense it. Do you want me to finish this part and then ask, see if I cover it, or you feel like you can ask? And you sure? Let me finish and then, because it's kind of like we're almost done with this part, and then it'd be a good time to take a question or two. So as Connie said, there's some processes. So let's say that a student, you had that policy about cheating and plagiarism. And the first time the student, you decided to give them a 0, but then the second time you gave them an E. There's a process to that, right? You have to follow a process for that. So that's where you talk to the dean and the program coordinator, and that also has to come to the academic affairs office. In other words, if I'm going to give a student an E for the course, or if I'm going to give a student something that leaves the classroom, and this is the easiest way to remember it, if it's leaving the classroom, in other words, I'm going to do something and it's really going to go on a transcript, by golly, or it's going to show up on a grade, you should send that email, clearly define what has happened, clearly define what you're doing. That should go to your dean, program coordinator, if you have a mentor that's not the dean or program coordinator, and it should also be copied to me in academic affairs, david.heflin@kctcs.edu. And then that way, we know what's going on. In other words, if the student appeals or the student wants to appeal, we're well in front of what's coming. I'm going to tell you the first thing that I do if it gets to me. I go look at the syllabus. So the process is this. It goes to the student within the classroom. It then is, if it's not resolved in the classroom, it then goes to the dean. That student has a timeline. I'm not going to go into too much detail. There's a timeline for the student to say, I don't agree with this. I want to appeal. It goes to the dean. The dean has a timeline to review, gather evidence, ask the student for more information. If the student still doesn't agree with what the dean decides, it then comes to academic affairs, which would be me. If I look at it, gather evidence, and I uphold the decision from the beginning and the student does agree, there's one last step, which is the College Appeals Board. The College Appeals Board is final. So they would look at the information, they would have the student come, present that information, they would make the decision. It's 2 full-time faculty, 2 full-time staff, and 2 full-time students. And they would hear that appeal, and their decision is final. Now, there's a couple of interesting things that go along with that. Faculty determine grade. That's your privilege as faculty. So if the grade for the final course is an E, student disagrees with the E, goes all the way up to the appeal. The College Appeal Board says we agree with the student. They only have the right to change it to 2 things, a W or a P. They can't assign the grade, right? So things to think about, right? Very rarely people say, how many times do you have to do that? A few times a semester, but that's the process. It's okay. It's my job. It's the dean's jobs. You know, it's part of the process. But I'm telling you right now, clearly defined syllabus saves us a lot of time and trouble, right? And consistency in following those policies save us a lot of time and trouble. Follow the policies. These are just helpful hints. Don't curve grades. We've kind of already covered most of this. Post grades in a timely manner. What's lesson number 2 about grade policies, Alan? Yeah, I like picking on Alan. I don't get to see him enough. Yeah. That's okay. I'm just putting you on the spot. So problem number 2 is that I haven't posted any grades for a long time, and there's a whole bunch of zeros, so the student thinks they have an A until you put the zeros in, and then they got a D. And it took you 3 months to put all those in for them to figure out they had a D. That's a problem. That's a problem. Answer emails fully, and I'll pick on Sherry Golson because we had this conversation for faculty, and I got so tickled because Sherry I said, what should you do in your email? And Sherry goes, tell them it's in the syllabus and end it, and she was joking. She was joking. That's like the worst thing you could do, right? Because if the student's asking for clarity, or if the student's sending an email and asking for something, the worst thing you can do is say, it's in the syllabus. I'm pretty sure you probably should try to answer their question. That's not the question. I promise you, they didn't send you an email and say, where is this? It's probably more like, I disagree with this, I wanted to know more about this, which means they already know what was in the syllabus. They're wanting clarity and understanding, and they're wanting to understand what your process was. And that's where you need to reflect on the syllabus and the policies that you have in place and make sure you're staying consistent to those. If Billy sends you the email, it should be the same as if Susie sent you the email, right? Document those violations like we talked about. Be sure if it's leaving that classroom, if you're truly making a change, it has to go to the program coordinator, it has to go to the dean, and it needs to copy me. We have to be in front of it, we have to know it, and we have to have documentation of that for SACS, which is our accrediting agency. So we have this nice little folder, and we keep track of that. It matters. It's important. They're going to come in October, and they're going to say, where's that folder? And we're going to pull it out and show them, and they're going to go, okay, great. Can I see Billy and can I see Sue? And they can do that. And we show, sure, here's Billy's file, and here's Sue's file. Right? Because it's integrity. If you said you did it, you say you're doing it, you have to prove that you're doing it. And you're part of that process. In fact, you're the process, right? You're the beginnings of it. Question. Oh, wait. Because Tom's going to go, get him to talk into the microphone. Yeah. Okay.
For dual credit, we have student code of conduct. We have all of this for McCracken County High School, for McCracken County School System. I guess I'd say, do we go over both? And we say you're responsible for both. And I'm assuming that is the right answer. I just want to double check. And
I will defer to my partner in crime in K-12, Dr. Lisa Stevenson.
That is correct. You need to cover both because they're not exactly the same. Okay, so you go over both, and then you're posting the same grade, or somebody posts the same grade for that course for you. So if the student has, for example, a question about the grade and it's the same grade but more of the college side of that grade, then we'll use our code of conduct. If it's on the high school, which it shouldn't be, but sometimes the line gets blurred, then we'll go with the high school. Okay.
When in doubt, over communicate. Oh yeah, yeah. Why wouldn't you? Other questions? Yes, sir. Oh wait, you can't. You know, Tom's giving me stink eye already. Here.
If I curve, I will, for example, say everybody who has 88 and above gets A. Everybody who has 77 and above gets B, etc. If I do that, because I've looked at the grades and the way they've fallen, I feel I need to make an adjustment to be fair to the course. Are you kosher with that?
No. I'm just, and I'm not, but there's a lot of reasons for that. So the question, right, the question was if I yeah. Yes, I know you don't, but no, so let's think this through, and this is the debate I had in my program. So when I was the program coordinator for radiography, this was the debate I had with my clinical coordinator. If I'm curving the 93 was an A, 87 was a B, 77 was a C, anything below 77 was failing. She said the policy, not written, the policy standing in radiography was if I made it 92.5, it was an A. 86.5, it was, you round up every half a point. I said, well, then why wouldn't the grading policy say 92.5 is an A? Why wouldn't you just make the grading policy what you just said? And don't forget, here's where we get into some real dicey stuff. If I'm teaching English 101, and you've got a class, and Billy's taking your class, and Billy got an A because you rounded up, and Sue's taking English 101, and the policy was followed, and they got a B, that's a problem. Because if you don't think Bill and Sue aren't talking about it, you're crazy. I can't emphasize enough. You know, faculty, academic freedom, things like that, I fully support and understand. I'm just telling you the slippery slope. that will happen as you start to do things that deviate from a grading policy or the policies in the syllabus. And I know it happens. I'm not naive. I get that. I'm just saying that when it comes to us in academic affairs as an appeal because Sue thinks she should have got an A, hands get tied. Things start, you know, it gets difficult. So help us. Help me help you.
Would one student actually say, in Dr. Gehrke's economics class, say, I had an 88 average in Dr. Gehrke's class, and my best friend had an 88 average in Rusty Smith's economics class, and we got different grades, and that's not fair? And somebody not say, well, sorry, life's not fair, and just let the conversation end there?
So answer to question one, yes, they do that. And yes, they come to us and ask that question. Answer to question number two, no, we never say life's not fair and you just suck it up, buttercup. Again, this is where there's more than one course being, I mean, truly, I mean, this is, you think this through. This is about fair and consistent and being appropriate and making sure that you're holding the academic rigor of the course to the same standard for all students. Now, we can debate that for quite a while. I understand as far as, well, I still think 88's an A, and that's fine. To me, the answer is change your grading policy with Dr. Gehrke and make that an A.
I do it on the fly, depending on how the course itself falls out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I may or may not do a good... I'm doing it, I'm judging myself. I may or may not do a good job of explaining something. And if I have an off night and I don't do a good job of explaining something and you don't pick it up because I did a poor job of presenting that to you, I don't think it's fair to penalize your GPA on that.
But what if I had a good night? What if I got 100 and everyone else got a 70?
Well, they all get C's.
You say that now, but you know, back to the point that you bring up. You know, where do you draw the line? Where do you make those calls? Why is it on the fly when the syllabus and everything is clearly defining when it should be? Agree to disagree and move on? Agree to disagree and move on. Are we okay with your question? Yeah. Okay. Deans, anything to add to the conversation? And you have to go on, you know, Tom's going to make you talk out loud. So, and Britt, I didn't mean to ignore you, Britt, and they're just all sitting back here.
I think I would just go back to the original concept of follow your syllabus. Whatever the syllabus says, that's what we need to apply consistently. And I know when we have, say, the econ class, as deans, we hope to see the syllabus when it comes to grading to be identical in all of the courses. So we hope the faculty can come together and work together on a common grading system.
Because remember, it doesn't get to me till it's gone through the dean, right? Student can't appeal until, they can't really appeal to me, because if they call me, I'm going to say, have you talked to the instructor? And if they say no, I said, well, that's step one. And then they call me back and say, I talked to the instructor, and I say, that's great. Have you talked to the dean? No? Well, let me give you their number. So, you know, the people that you are in communication with are the ones that have to answer those questions as they come to them. It gets to me at the end. And the deans, I've told this story before. I'm going to say it again out loud and on tape. The deans at this institution are underpaid, overworked, and are amazing people who do yeoman's work. And to add any additional things to them is just, in my opinion, disrespectful. So, you know, I say I owe you a Dunkin' gift card for all the times I don't have to write that letter or look at it, because they handle it in such masterful ways. So I'd hope as instructors and as people that are teaching the students that we're mindful of the fact that what happens in the classroom can trickle out and matriculate. And not to pick on you, dual credit especially, it can happen because it's dual credit. Oh, no, wait, Tom's going to give me the look. I know. You don't have to look at it.
Well, I was just going to say, we're lucky this year, or last year was the first year that McCracken had the same grading scale. So I wouldn't do it. I refuse to, I'm not going to lie. If they had an A on the McCracken County grading scale, I gave them an A for their, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do that. That was not fair. I didn't know what I was supposed to tell a kid or a parent. If they had our grading scale is 94, 100, y'all's is 90 to 100. So I just made my own little way I was going to do it. I told the kids this is the way I'm going to do it, and they got the same grade for both. It really was actually more towards kind of messing over, I guess, the McCracken County grade because a 90 was an A. And I wasn't supposed to be doing that. Like, well, I'm admitting it. It wasn't fair. Yeah, and it is now. They've changed it. Yeah, they fixed it after much complaining and me saying I'm not going to do it anymore because it just wasn't fair to the kid.
True.
You know.
And don't forget, transparency creates people looking. So KDA is, oh, it is good. But KDA is looking, KDA is going to look. If I transcribe a dual credit, if I transcribe the grade on the high school transcript and I am transcribing it on the college, it should match. The difference is high school, you'll have the percentage. I don't know, Tom, what are you doing back there? Did you have a question?
So my question is, last spring, my students' dual credit, their high school grade was different from their college grade because the high school required that we write a paper in every class that counted 100 points. I didn't feel like that was fair to everybody taking algebra, college algebra 150, that my kids have an English paper in my syllabus did not include that. So they got their college grade. And then once that was completed, then I took that 100-point required by McCracken County High School English paper and put it in their grade for their high school grade, so they came out 2 different grades. What should I do about a situation where my school's requiring something that I don't think fits college algebra?
The grade on the high school transcript and the grade on the college transcript must match now because of the dual credit scholarship. That started this year. Yes. So if there is a situation like that where you're a dual credit instructor and your high school is requiring something like that, then we will sit at the table with the superintendent, the superintendent of instruction or whatever, principal, you, us, and we'll have that discussion. But they cannot be different anymore. They just can't. We haven't, but we're working on it, okay? So. No. So you cannot give points. It's going to have to be the same grade.
Because dual credit means dual credit and high school credit. It's not dual enrollment. There's a difference. All right. Just yell it out. What does signing the syllabus acknowledgement mean? You know and understand the syllabus. That's right. Who signs it? The student. Who lost Super Bowl I? Kansas City Chiefs. And who's going to win Super Bowl 46? No, the Kansas City Chiefs. Steelers. Who said Steelers? Did you say Steelers? God. That's Chiefs and Steelers are playing this weekend. Where does the Code of Student Conduct apply? Wherever the student is. That includes online. Wherever business is occurring for the college is where the Student Code of Conduct applies. Right? Online counts. I'm going to turn this over to my lovely wife, Connie. and she's going to do even better than I did. So here you go. Yes, it's Kentucky.
Thank you. And for the record, Tom, we are not married. So I want to say again, thank all of you for coming. Our part-time faculty and our dual credit faculty, all of you are so very important to our college. And especially in the online area, we just appreciate you so very much. And I want you to know that. And we want to give you the support that you need. So please do not hesitate to call on us. I know this is, one night that we're together, but when you have questions, and you've asked some great ones already, please call on us. We're here to support you. Before I go on, the last topic, which was discussed thoroughly, when there is an online student who does not understand the code of conduct or has a problem or an issue in an online class, please take the time to call that student. Many times that will de-escalate the situation and may save you from having to go through an appeal process. An email probably won't get it. So I encourage you, if you're teaching online, to call a student. If you don't want to use your phone, we have phones here on campus, or we can set you up with a Google Voice number so that you're not using your own phone number. Okay, classroom management. Now I'm going to talk to you about on ground and online, both. So we want to talk about engagement of students, which is so very important, as you know. You want to keep your students engaged in class. And why is that? To keep them in class, retained. Yes, to keep them in class. Yes. So what are some things that you can do? Well, some of these are not new things, and they're low tech, and you can do them. But a 1-minute paper, where if you are talking with the students, and of course I don't recommend that you use a lecture format. I hope that, like I'm doing right now, I hope that you are doing maybe just a few minutes of some talking with the students, and then do something that helps them to summarize the content that you're covering. So a 1-minute paper is a good idea. So they just jot down what you have been talking about, and then maybe you have a few students to summarize what's on that paper. How many of you have used that? Okay, couple. All right. All right. Snowball activity. Well, in the December 6th edition of the Chronicle of Higher Education, you see I have no life during Christmas either, so I'm reading the Chronicle. But there was a great article in there about this guy from the University of Georgia and what he was doing in his classroom. And it's so easy, but he just got really good student evaluations from what he was doing. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to bring this up at this little convocation here tonight. Oh, Shannon. Shannon got the snowball. Now, Shannon is going to have to write down some confusing point about this talk tonight. So, in your classroom, that's what you'd want to do. You'd throw the piece of paper to one of the students and have them write down a confusing point. And then Shannon, we don't have to really do it. I'm not going to put you on the spot. Then Shannon would throw the paper to someone else. And so by the time it's thrown around, maybe 3 times, you take the paper and then you go over those points with the class. So Mr. Green, there at the University of Georgia, he says that really brings up the energy level in the class. You know how it gets after a half hour, or if you're an early morning class, they're sitting there looking at you like that. So, you know, just something that breaks the ice up a little bit. I don't know how to adapt that to the online classroom. I'll have to think about that. Okay, another method, small group work with presentation. Now, I think we all know that one, but it can be done at the beginning, middle, or end of the class. Thank you, Dr. Heflin. You can prepare material for the students to read, the content for the day, and have them answer questions or prepare a presentation on the material. I always like doing that for group work. In my time teaching, I always felt like, you know, at one point in time that I had to really be that sage on the stage. And then it came the time when we changed our teaching techniques, and I worried, they're not going to get it if I don't tell them. And lo and behold, they did get it. And they got it better because they were digging into the book in the small groups, and they were learning it. So, yes, they can do it. And we have seen through research that students learn it a lot better and retain it through small group work. And it's certainly a lot easier to prepare in terms of, you know, having to stand up and talk to the students. Muddiest point. It's kind of the same thing we were talking about before with the snowball, writing down confusing things. But you can have them do a muddiest point paper at the beginning of the class, at the end of the class, or in the middle. So the student is taking a note card and writing down what is confusing. And if you get that information from the students, you'll know where to concentrate because several of them may have the same thing. I've heard of other techniques too that we've covered here at school. They can put a Post-it note on the door as they leave if they have something that's confusing as they leave the room. So some kind of muddiest point that you can then talk about at the beginning of the next class session before you get started on the next topic. So any kind of those variety of those things are good. A short reading quiz is good. Now, this is kind of like the flipped classroom idea that you have the students read, you know, and they're going, what? You know, read the material before coming to class, and then as you get into class, you have a quiz for them. And you may or may not give points for that quiz, but I tell you, if you give them points, they are more likely to, of course, read the material. So, offer a reward for correct answers. So, you know, like I said, a few points for the quiz. You do it a couple of times, and I do believe that they would, you know, be reading. And this can help with attendance, with tardiness, because what do you do with the ones who are tardy? Do they get to take the quiz? No. And help with class participation. Okay, now, I liked this that Mr. Green from the University of Georgia did. I thought it was so funny. He had his lunch on the podium in his classroom. And so a student asked him, I guess he just forgot to put it up or something. He had a tuna fish sandwich in the bag. And somebody in the class asked him, he had a big class, you know, like a big lecture class. And somebody said, you know, hey, Mr. Greenlight, what's in the bag? So he said, well, the first person that asks a good question about the content can have what's in the bag. So this became kind of the thing that Mr. Green did. So he'd put something in the bag, and I just put a question mark on it, and I put something in the bag. So everybody liked to be in Mr. Green's class so they could ask a question and get what was in the bag. So I'm going to ask you a question. Without looking at your phone, can you tell me the mission of our college? There are 3 statements. What is the mission of West Kentucky Community and Technical College. And whoever can tell me can reach into this bag, this very bag, for the prize. Does anybody know one statement of the mission? All right. Well, I thank you for my promotion to doctor, but I am just Connie Heflin, but I do appreciate that. I zoomed to that in 5 minutes. You had to really work for yours. Okay. I know. Thank you, Chad. You're getting close. All right. Divide and conquer is a good, yeah, that's a good mission. But the way I remember it is by an acronym, PPS, like Paducah Power System. As I told this group that last year when Paducah Power System was really, you know, under the gun for their charges and so on. So P, promote excellence in teaching and learning. All right. Statement 2 is provide, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry. Provide. I'm sorry, my first P I got wrong. Provide excellence in teaching and learning. All right, the second one, promote student what? Starts with an S. Success, that's it. And then the third one, support, talks about the community now. Economic development. Okay, so how am I going to pick somebody now to look in the bag? Well, let's see. All right. All right, Robert Armbruster. Step forward. And he's such a good guy, too.
Thanks, David. You're welcome. Thanks, Connie.
You're very welcome. All right. Let's give Robert a hand. Yay, Robert. All right. Whew, y'all wore me out with the PBS. Okay. All right. Question and answer session. Of course, this can be done throughout class. Provide 2 or 3 questions on the PowerPoint or on the board. It doesn't have to be, you know, really formal, but that is something just to keep students going throughout class. But I think, especially with classes that have large amounts of content, you want to stop and just ask a few questions as you go along. And if you all have any ideas for engagement, please speak up too, or something that's worked well for you. Well, that's okay. Offer versions of your exam questions so they kind of know what to expect in terms of how you test. That's a good idea too, so they can see what questions might be like. It can allay some anxiety and fear about testing in your class. That can be done online as well. Be careful about watching for the same students to answer those questions. You want everybody to try to participate, but not put them on the spot, of course, you know, as much as possible. So that's where the small group work, I think, is really good, because you can go around and monitor and get a handle on those that are more quiet than some of the others. Okay. All right. We're stopping for questions now. All right. A dog chases a squirrel behind your house. How many times has West Kentucky been recognized by Aspen as a top 10 community college? This will be the fourth. Is that right? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we will find out in March what our results are. So exciting. Okay. You see a person in the distance. They appear to be 2.68 inches tall. What is David's title at West Kentucky? Vice President, Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs. Okay, good. A car travels east going 62 miles per hour on I-24, starting at exit 16, and a truck travels west on I-24, starting at exit 40, going 37 miles per hour. When should you try a muddiest point? Anytime. So at the beginning, the middle, or the end of a class. Okay, very good. All right. At this point, I'm going to turn over the program to Amy Sullivan, who is our interim library director.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am not near as entertaining as these two. Aren't they great? I seriously have a lot to live up to with them, but I don't have as many funny jokes prepared or anything like that, but I just want to say thank you for letting me be a part of the orientation this evening. I do know many of you, the part-time. I love you guys. I love to be able to talk with you. I get the great fortune of being with the full-time faculty most of the time, so I'm always thrilled when part-time contacts me because I want to let you all know that the library is here for everyone, not just full-time, part-time, dual credit, everybody. All of our students have the same access and privileges and rights to all of the library resources, which are abundant here at West Kentucky. So I want to just touch upon some of those things that we have tonight. I know I've talked with you all many times at different locations about different things and that you all have different needs, so I won't get into specifics, but I will touch upon what we have, what we offer, and I encourage you in your bags, in your treat bags, you have library information, you have a brochure from me, you have a bookmark highlighting some of these things we're going to talk about. You have my card, and that's got my contact information. So please be sure to contact me because we cannot cover everything the library has to offer tonight. But you'll have a specific need, and I hope you will call me. We have many great things at the library, and you can reserve our computer lab. We have 2 labs. We have 38 computers in the library, so you can bring your class if you want. In the evenings, we're open till 8:30, which I'm going to tell you our hours here in just a second. I'm skipping around, but you guys can certainly reserve the library for usage altogether as a class to research together. I can certainly give a tour. I can help your students with whatever. My staff can help with whatever you need, so you all are all welcome to do that at any point, so please do that. Main thing first is to know where we're located. I hope everyone knows where MLRC is, which is the Matheson Learning Resource Center. We are on the 2nd floor. The whole floor is the library. We have an elevator and 2 staircases to access that 2nd floor. And then our website, it's 2 clicks is the quickest way. There are several ways actually on the main website that you can link to us, and it's many places actually, many ways, but the quickest is 2 clicks, Academics, Matheson Library, because that's the name of our library. So I want you all to know how to get to the library page, and we'll look at that here in a second. So I'm ready to, I'm sorry, if you want. Thanks, that'll help. Our hours, the biggest, most important thing, spring hours and fall hours have been Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m., Fridays from 7:30 to 4, and then we're closed on the weekends. And I can go on, okay? Our collection, we have over 20,000 print books, but we have over 130,000 electronic books. That's a lot. So when you are searching, you will see a lot of electronic books. That simply means you can read those right there on screen. They are a book. Students can certainly use that as a source for their research. It's a book. It's just online. Many of our students still do prefer print volumes, but they are using those ebooks. And our academic ebook collection that we subscribe to has over 130,000 of these. We have DVDs, academic and popular DVDs. We have popular fiction as well as all of our academic materials, and we have audiobooks. Children's collection, that's important for our early childhood education program especially, and for our students that have children. They utilize that a lot. So it's not a big collection, but it's a small children's collection. Young adult books. Our students love those. It's great for their reading levels. So young adults, very popular. We do have a section of that. We have a special collections, and that consists of Paducah and Kentucky history items. The special collections cannot be checked out, but a lot of our college history is also available there if you're interested in that. We also, for our allied health and nursing programs, we have anatomical models, flashcards, and study aids for those divisions. So those can be used in the library by students, or the faculty can check those out to take with them for the class. Our online databases, we have 85 of those. We have some main databases that we have listed, but then within those, we have a total of 85 of those, and those are all different subject areas across the board. You utilize those with your KCTCS username and password. Everyone that has that KCTCS username and password can get to all of those databases. The students often have trouble keeping up with their usernames and passwords. They do have to reset those all the time. We do keep in touch with IT and can help with that, facilitate when they have problems with their passwords, but that is the way they get to the databases. There are many things on our library page that they can get to, but when they get to that research, they have to have that username and password because we pay for those subscriptions. So it does require that. So they need to keep up with that. The instructors need to keep up with that, and we can certainly help if you have misplaced usernames and passwords. Those databases contain, in our research databases, thousands and thousands of journal, newspaper, and popular periodicals. We also have a Films on Demand academic streaming video collection. This has been a wonderful, wonderful addition. 3 years ago, we've had it now, and it has now over 42,000 videos in it. You can use those online. You can use those on ground in the classroom. You can show a video. You can show a segment of a video. You can make a video playlist according to whatever you need. You can make folders and have your different classes and save them from class to class. You can embed those in Blackboard. On our website, and I'll show you that in a moment, we have a tip sheet so you can always know how to embed those on Blackboard if you forget. They do add to that collection all the time, and it's subject areas across the board, from anthropology to all the allied health and nursing fields to technical trades, everything you would not imagine, careers, everything you can imagine. So please check that out because it's been a wonderful thing, and our instructors have really, really enjoyed that. And then we have Naxos Music Library, which is an online streaming music collection that our music department for sure has really enjoyed as well. So Primo is an online search that has, we have added that 2 years, almost, this is our 3rd year now. Primo Discovery Search is what many, many libraries have moved to, as far as it searches all of our online databases and our library catalog, which includes our print materials and audio visuals, all at one time. So when a student searches, or you search with a keyword, it searches everything at once to give you results. So I wanted to just show you our, hold on just a second. I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint because I had it open here. Okay. So when you do that academics, then Matheson Library, this is what the library page looks like. And Primo is the first thing that you see. That's when you enter those keywords and can search everything at one time. We recommend this for, especially for beginning students who have never used the library, who don't know a lot about researching, because it introduces them to that. Our students also respond very well to this because they're used to that instantaneous one-time searching to begin with, and then they can limit their results further than that. So we teach that in all of our FYE 105 classes. We start with this because most of our students have not done online research, so that's where we begin. But there are times when you need that individual database searching, and certainly we encourage that as well. So many of our instructors, like you, use a specific database. So we offer both, but Primo is just the new, especially when students transfer to a four-year college. That's what most of the libraries have moved to now, is this discovery searching. Primo is just one of these types of searches. We own Primo, or we have Primo, we subscribe to that, but many other libraries use something similar to Primo that does this one search, has this one search capability. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure that you all knew about. And now I've lost my spot. I won't go into that, but we do have a Primo tutorial on that homepage where I showed you right underneath it, and we do teach that, and I can certainly show you all that anytime, answer any questions that you all have. I'm sorry, you guys. Tom's going to get on to me. I'm sorry.
Oh. Are you, how many English classes are you in?
I'm in English 101 and 102 this semester.
She is enrolled in English 101 and 102 as the Ask a Librarian, directly there in the class, so that the students can contact her to ask for assistance. And of course, she's in school right now, but when I saw that, I had read about it in the literature, and then she mentioned doing it, and I was like, yes, please do that, you know, and I was like all over it, you know, and she goes, well, let me set it up, you know, and you know how somebody gets an idea and they push you and push you. That's what I was doing to her in the summer. So I'm just thrilled that she's been doing that with our students. That's just premium. You can't ask for anything any better than that. So that embedded librarian idea is very nice, and I hope that you've had good feedback from the students, so you might want to mention that.
Thank you, Connie. Yes, that has been something I've really enjoyed and has gotten me in good contact with the students, and it is something I'm hoping to move on to other courses. I'm piloting that this year. Started last semester, and this is my second semester, and I'll introduce some new things with that second semester to see how it goes. But the response has been very good, and it also helps you as the instructor to save you time and to get me directly to the students, so you don't have to be that middle person, and that can help you move on with your course, and we can filter out the research part. That's where I come in, and that's what I want to save you time, so you don't have to show them how to use those library resources. That's my job. So, but I appreciate, of course, I want you to show them whatever you can with the library, but that's the hope of the Embedded Librarian pilot. So I hope to move into more courses with that. But some of our other services, we do have renewals. You can call us over the phone. You can check out anything as faculty. You can renew those things over the phone. Just call us. You can do it online. We have book drops several places on campus to turn in materials, so you can do that at our circulation desk downstairs, MLRC in our building, or the Allied Health building has a book drop for library materials. In the library, we have scanners. We have a copier that does cost 15 cents because that's not ours. We don't own that. We have a free fax machine. We have wireless access, and we have wireless printing starting this semester. It's just started this week. So our students are really seem to be excited about that. So we hope to have a good response with that. And then we have 2 computer labs with printers, like I mentioned. We have reference services and instructional services. Somehow repeated that we have computer labs and printers, and many of our students do come to use that. And again, you guys can reserve that anytime you would like. We have a quiet study area. Students do like that area as well. And I wanted to mention Better World Books as something that we have a service here. We partner with this company who resells books, and those profits come back to help our students. So when we weed our library collection, but when you and your offices clean out books and old materials, we are asking that you bring those to the library or to one of our Better World Books book drops that are located in 4 of our buildings on campus, because we can get those to Better World Books at no cost to us. They sell them, and we get a percentage to whatever we would like to designate, and that is for our student scholarship, general student scholarship fund here on campus. So if you're just wanting to get rid of some old books, we will take those, and we will be glad to help fund that scholarship fund. Our library guides, those are on our website. These are online, and our library guides are something we've created in every subject area. Our goal is to get one for every single program on campus, and we are in the process of that. Right now, we have all the major divisions represented. A library guide is something where a student or yourself can begin with research in their areas with the resources in different formats that we have here at the library. It's just a sampling, a place to begin. So it offers recommended books, recommended electronic books, recommended articles, online journals, databases, and a place to begin with what we have, because we have so many things, it's hard to know where to start. So we've created library guides, and they're alphabetical, starting with, we have applied technologies, we have computers and digital literacy, we have nursing, we have all kinds in every subject area. So I'm going to try this again. I thought I could go from here and I have to get out. I can. Hooray. So on the main library page, you will see a tab on the left that says Library Guides. When you click that, so far we have 32, starting with applied technologies all the way down to welding. So each of these, and I'm just going to choose history. Each of these has a general page with all of our hours, contact information, location, a picture of the librarian that the liaison is, and I am for history, so that's how you contact me. And then each tab offers a starting point, so books in this particular area, history, and we change this all the time. We keep these updated with new materials as they come in. Articles. So we have also a tutorial on general database, how to use a database, and then the recommended databases that we have, audiovisual materials, and this is our Films on Demand. We've pulled out some things that we have in Films on Demand and a tip sheet and how to use Films on Demand. All of that's there. Ebooks, so recommended ebooks. All of these links go directly to these books. Websites that we recommend in this area. Faculty contact for that area. And then the Ask a Librarian link. If they can't find what they're looking for, they can just send a message to us directly. So library guides are very, very important. We encourage you to use these and to put these on your syllabi. Let them know about it, because it's a good way for them to begin with sources in that particular area. Okay. Library orientations. Many of your classes have a library component. The FYE classes do for sure. English classes do for sure. And then so certain classes have some library orientations. If you have a need for something that we don't offer, because we certainly cannot teach every class, you guys can let us know. There are things online, and we will try to. We have many, many tutorials. I can send you those. I can help. Again, expanding in this embedded librarianship, I want to help on-ground and online classes. That's what I'm here for. That's our job. So anything that you are needing, we try to create some general tutorials that you all can put in your classes. You can recommend to students. So I want your ideas. Again, my contact information is in that bag. So we try all the time to create new ways to teach our students what they need to know online or on-ground. So I want to encourage you to contact me for any ideas for that. Our distance learning students do have the same access to things as our on-ground students. So especially if they're an online student here locally where they can come to the library, they still can come here. The dual credit students can check out all the materials the same way that our full-time students here on campus can do. So make sure your students do know that. And those whose home campus is not West Kentucky, they can still get to those databases. We have a generic login information for those students. We don't give that out for you to put on your syllabi, but we give it to you to give to those students when this comes up. So all you have to do is contact me if that's the case, and we change it every semester. So contact me if you need to get to those databases if your student does not have a login, and I will give that to you so they can get to that information. Again, here's my contact information. Carol Driver is our other librarian, or user services librarian. She's in charge of instruction, so I wanted to make sure, and that's in your PowerPoint as well. But my card is in your bag, and I certainly want you to contact me with any questions that you have. Does anybody have any questions for me right now? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Okay, this next section is on the managing the online classroom, and I know that the material doesn't apply to all of you, and when I put this on the PowerPoints back about a few semesters ago, it was really to talk about managing problems in the online classroom. So I'm going to go through this rather quickly since it doesn't really apply to all of you. But what it's referring to is if you have a problem with a student in an online classroom. And the types of problems that you might have would be, let's say, a student that emails you and it's not an appropriate email, whether it be a sexually inappropriate or it's rude to you as the instructor, something like that, or a student has put a post up, let's say in discussion board where other students can see it, and it's sexually inappropriate. I had that one year. I had one guy in a class with all women, and I happened to know the guy, and so he lived locally, and so I called him and asked him to come in and talk with me, and just told him, you know, that's really not appropriate for you to put on there. And he stopped it after that. So I was lucky that he responded the way he did. But when you have that thing happen, you've got to nip it in the bud right away. You know, because it would be like somebody in your on-ground classroom saying something out loud, and you just like going, oh, okay, and just moving on. You can't do that. So, you know, you need to be watchful and reading and be on top of that. Or you have an angry student. Well, I think we all, you know, if you teach, you get angry students. They're upset about a grade, or they misinterpret an email that you've sent to them. I know, again, that's happened to me. I've sent out an email to, I remember one student, and she was unhappy about something, and I sent her back an email, and I thought that I had worded it nicely. And apparently, she didn't take it that way. And so I thought, what? You know, I tried to look at all of my words to see what I had done wrong. And so I wound up calling her because you think I was going to send another email? No. So the angry student, again, I think your first intervention there is to make a phone call. You need to speak directly with the person. Email is just not your communication format that you want to use when someone is upset. If you call, more than likely the student is going to back down off of whatever the problem is, and you can find out what the problem is. So that's what I recommend for good communication. Okay. To manage your online course, I think most people do start their online class with an icebreaker, but you know, be sure to have the students do something besides introduce yourself. You know, make it be relevant to your class. If it's a class on anatomy, you might have them, I don't know what you'd ask them to I was going to say name your favorite body part, but that doesn't sound right. Oh, that didn't sound right at all. Man, okay, I'm red-faced. All right. Something about the content. Okay. I don't know. Help me out, Lori. What are they looking forward to studying most? She's trying to help me. Yeah, yeah. My Larry was her teacher. She's trying to help me out. Okie dokie. All right. Moving on. David's moving it on. Okay. Set expectations in the beginning. Of course, just like an on-ground class, you want to have the expectations of what the assignments are and what the due dates are. And don't change that. You know, that's, to me, you put that out there and you don't make changes. If you've ever heard a student talk about, well, my instructor, I finally found where the assignments are, but I'm not sure when these things are due, and then the dates were changed. That's a mess. That is a mess. So set the expectations out and follow the code of student conduct. You know, so that's what you want to do. Look for signs of conflict. Again, this could be between students. One year I had a student who, she responded, I guess she thought she was supposed to, she responded to every blooming student on the discussion board. She was making a comment. I think the lady had no life. She was responding every time somebody put something on the discussion board. She made a response to it, and it wasn't really, you know, ethical, I guess would put it that way. And so I called her and I said, now you don't need to be, you know, doing that. It's not necessary for you to do that. It just kind of made the others uncomfortable. So be alert for those kinds of things. And it could be just, you know, once a student, you can set the discussion board, you know, where they have to respond before they can see the rest of the discussion. But then it's out there, you know. So anyway, just be alert for any potential problems. Students may use words that are controversial. So, you know, you want to make sure that things are rolling along, and you might need to step in. Be supportive, understand the student's point of view, have a caring attitude. That's so general, but the class I teach is diversity in healthcare. So coming up very soon, it's an 8-week class, so I have questions about Obamacare in there. I have questions about immigration. So I was trying to reword the questions this weekend when I was Sunday night trying to get my course open, okay, at the last minute. And I thought, what am I going to put about Trump in there? And so I reworded it to put about Trump and his dismantling of Obamacare, and I thought, no, I don't think I'm going to put that. So I took that off, and then I changed it to something else. But I get very heated responses to those questions, but they're relevant to the content. You know, we talk about health care there, and the diversity in healthcare. So it's relevant to the chapters, but I don't want to, you know, my questions to be pointed or saying what are my feelings about healthcare. So effective instructor presence. Now this one really, really important, because the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education, is where the students get their financial aid. And they want to see in online courses regular and substantive interaction. They don't give us any hard and fast guidelines, but they are looking at online courses in an academic setting, trying to see what the difference is between like courses we would offer and correspondence courses. So they want to know what the instructors are doing to initiate contact with students. Does that make sense? So they don't give us any real guidelines, and we don't know how to really document this, but we're told you need to have regular and substantive interaction. Even our accrediting body, SAC, COC, is telling us this. So we're in the beginning stages of this. So our department, the online learning department, and if you're teaching online, you already got this information. But our goal is for instructors to have instructor-initiated interaction or touch to the students 3 times a week. Now that can be through a test, through a quiz, through Starfish, through a discussion board, any of those type things. Now that's quite a bit, 3 times a week. It's quite a bit, but it's a goal. And again, we want to be knowing that our courses would never be thought of as a correspondence course. That's the difference, because that's the financial aid part of it, the Title IV funds. Okay, any questions on that part? I went through it quickly. Yes, Rusty.
So, if I have one assignment due every week, if I have 2 communications to the course per week, I have my 3.
That is correct. So you have an announcement or 2 announcements, 2 communications to the students, and an assignment.
I've already built in blogs, other tools of communication that are at their discretion, but you as the student have to actually take the initiative, and there are only so many times I can say, hey, this is out there for you to use, but as long as it's out there and you have an assignment due and I say, this week work on this, and then later, reminder, this is due, we're good.
It has to be instructor initiated, but if you're reminding, that is instructor initiated, in my opinion. So hopefully we'll learn a little bit more specifics on this as time goes on. But I just want to mention it because it's mentioned when we go to conferences, and we want to be sure that we're doing what we need to be doing. Okay, and these are just our people who work in the online learning department, so they're listed here. And you've got them on your handout. And what's next after that? Okay, Dr. Heflin is going to talk to us about reporting student learning outcomes.
Because it's about time to go. Report them. How's that? Remember, that's part of finishing this coursework. Besides posting your grade, you have to report your student learning outcomes. In other words, think through what they were, because they're specific for the course. We are required to report them. That's part of your job as the instructors to report them. So that's, at the end, you're going to do that as well as report the grades. So for example, be specific as far as what they're asking for. Provide the percentage and the numbers, what I always say. I'm always suspect anytime I read anything that just gives me a percentage. 50%, well, that's 1 out of 2. That's not going to be very helpful. So be specific. So it's pretty basic, right? Report them. Report your grades, be timely. I want to say again, thank you all so much. Thank you for everything that you do. I hope you have found this useful, helpful, and the food wonderful. Can we give one more round of applause to Jesse? Can we give one more round of applause to Connie Heflin, Amy Sullivan? Oh, Lisa and Karen stuck with us, as did Britton. That's excellent. We've had some people stick with us. Tom, thank you so much for recording this. I will be sending an email out, another one of these nice positive ones that say, hey, in case you missed it, here's the link, and we can get you to it. So don't forget, the biggest lie that you told yourself in school is that you didn't bother to write any of this stuff down and you'll remember it. So to Connie's point and to Amy's point, we're always here for you. The deans are here for you. Any help that you need, just let us know. Thank you all so much. Grab some food, tea, whatever's left on the table. Help yourself. Grab some candy, too. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Be safe.